Okay, now that I've got the frame rails where I like them, I can test fit the inner tail panel and the trunk floor drop-offs. Since I got the frame rails, this inner tail panel's fitting in here really nice. This driver's side trunk floor drop-off is fitting really nice. It's a really nice piece. The passenger side though, meh, not so good. It's going to need some adjustment. But I think right now I'm just kind of mocking this up a little bit, see how it goes together. I'll adjust this guy after I weld the frame rails to the floors, weld the floors together, and flip this thing over and get it ready to go in there. Before I can do that though, I've got to fix some of my BooBoos. I've taken the panels off here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This piece that I cut off here, yeah, I got to put that back on there, as well as I need to repair where I sliced that open there. And as well, I need to mark out where I'm going to be welding the frame rails to the trunk floor and the main floor. All right, looking at this thing, this piece is not going to go back on there because after cutting it off and moving this frame rail over, it's made that area pretty well flush with the trunk floor piece. If you can see, there's no gap. There's no gap there. So what I'll do is, after I've got these frame rails welded in here, I'll probably come in and put some 1/8 inch strapping on that and just strap that in there. So I'll move on to repairing the cut in the trunk floor. All right, got the trunk floor turned around here so I can work on it. Repairing this area in here. I got some 16 gauge steel here. Cut a piece off of it. Accidentally cut through my table there. Apparently you need a little more space than that. But this stuff here is pretty thin. That's just some old shelving. Anyway, clean it up, bend it up, see if it fits. All right, I've made my patch piece here. Just bent an L to it. Now I've got to cut this off and make room for it. Okay, I've cut out that section there. Made a nice hole. Let's see if this piece will fit. Oh yeah, fits pretty good. I still need a little bit of trimming along this front edge here, but I think it's going to work out pretty well. Underneath this panel here, there are braces that the exhaust mounts to, like these holes here for the exhaust, and there's a brace piece that goes in here and goes underneath here, and you can see right there, there's the lip of it right there. So I didn't cut that on either side, and that should allow my patch panel to sit on top of that, and then I can weld it in. But yeah, just a little bit more trimming, and then I can weld it in. Okay, I got it trimmed out there, and you can see this guy's fitting in there real nice. The gap's a little bit wide here on this end, but it's real nice over here and real good all the way around. I think I can pull it off there, hit it with some weld-through primer, and then weld it in. Okay, I got her all welded in there. Looking pretty good. I'm happy with it. I need to re-drill that hole. That's actually a drain hole. So if any moisture gets up in this support piece here, it can drain out through that hole. So I got to open that up a little bit. But yeah, she's looking good. Did the plug welds in the front here. They're all looking pretty good. I like it. Now I just got to clean it up and then move on to the next step. Okay, cleaned up my welds and re-drilled that hole, and you know, I think after a coat of paint you'll never even know that I did anything here, which is the point, right? Now what? Oh yeah, bolted her back up, made sure everything fit back the way it's supposed to, just in case anything moved while I was welding that area in there. I've traced out around the frame rails here, and I've marked where I should drill and where I shouldn't drill. I figure like this area here, just a single layer of this thin trunk floor steel. So I'll drill holes in the trunk floor and weld to the frame rail. However, in areas like this where you can't access the backside of it, I'll drill through the frame rail and weld to the trunk floor. The seat belt brace is right here, so I'll weld through the frame rail and weld to that seat belt brace. And then here, where I've marked X's, I don't drill the frame rail, I drill the body. And then in this torque box area here, I'll be drilling in here around, same thing on both sides. And I just need to lay out where I think I'd like for my holes to be. And then I can pull this apart and drill it out, and then get to welding her. Before I get overly gung-ho on drilling this, taking it apart, and all that good jazz, there's about an 1/8 inch gap between the 4-link cradle and the frame rail here, and I think it's because of this guy right here. So I'm going to take this off and see if I can't bend that up a little bit and get this sitting down flush against the frame rail. We'll see how that goes. Yep, I pulled this off here, hit it with a big freaking hammer, bent that little tab up a little bit, set it back in here. It was bent up a bit too much, so I put a block of wood on it, hit it with a hammer, and bent it back down a little bit. It's fitting in here much better now. However, now my hole's a little bit off, but that's okay. I can re-drill that later. For now, let's get these frame rails ripped off here and drilled. Okay, I got this frame rail here all drilled out. You can see up in here, it's holy. It's like, you know, the Pope's frame rail or something. Anyway, got it drilled out there. Also drilled the floor pan in this area where it's going to be welded, floor pan welded to the frame rail. And yep, looking good. Now I just need to tackle that pasture side. I'll give you guys a quick glimpse into my process here as far as how I'm doing this. I'm spacing these plug weld holes about 1.5 inches apart, and I'm accomplishing that with this square here. The ruler on that's about 1.5 inches wide, and what I can do is I can see where I want my weld to land on this frame rail, and usually about 3/8 of an inch over from the edge. And I can apply that to my mark here, come over about 3/8 of an inch, and then I use my auto punch a little divot, and then an 1/8 inch drill bit, and make that divot a little bit bigger. And then once I've got all my divots where I want them, I come back over it with the step bit, and I drill them out to 5/16 of an inch. And yeah, that's what I do. That's how I do. All right, now I've got all my plug weld holes drilled in the frame rail and in the floor pans. I need to go over and mark where those plug weld holes are going to be so that I can bare the metal so I get nice clean welds. I still need to drill the holes along the front flange there to weld that. As well, I want to massage this area in here. I already did it on this side where the stamping isn't quite perfect with the frame rail, so I've got to massage that so I get a nice flat fit in there. I've got to do that on this side. As well as this cutoff piece here. I was thinking about, you know, just strapping that in with some 1/8 inch flat steel. I think that's going to look pretty ugly. So I'm actually going to fix this so that this guy goes in there. I can get in there and bend that frame rail out just a little bit, and bend the lip of this guy in a little bit, and get it to fit up in there. I've got to do some trimming, but that's what I'm going to work on right now, is get that guy fit up in there and welded back in. Okay, I've got that tab welded on there and got the welds cleaned up. If we take a look, she's looking pretty good. I also drilled the holes for the plug welds in there and in there, but I think she's looking pretty factory. Moving on. Okay, I've bared all the metal where all the plug welds are. There's 98 plug welds in each frame rail. And yeah, I think I can bolt it back together for the final time and then start welding it up. Okay, I got the plug welds done on the top side of this frame rail. Looking really good. Really happy with it. I was beating on it to get that metal smushed together so that it's touching, because sometimes there's a little bit of a gap in some of these, so just made sure that it was touching good, and yeah, got her all welded up here. Same on this side. Now I just got to go finish up the driver's side. But yeah, I'm pretty happy guy. All right, got this driver's side frame rail all welded in. On this side anyway, I've still got to flip this thing over and weld the other side. But before I do that, I want to do the welds across the seam here. And then I'll go ahead and grind everything while I've got it flipped over like this. It'll be easy to get to these things, clean up these welds, and then I'll be ready to flip it over and do the same on the other side. All right, got my welds all ground down. They're looking pretty good. You can see all the shiny spots there. Yeah, didn't take too long because my welds looked pretty good. They weren't up too high or anything like that. Now I got to see if I can flip this thing over and weld the other side. Let's give that a try. All right, I got her turned over, and she's a lot heavier than she looks, and she looks freaking heavy. But yeah, you know, a little struggle, but got it turned over. Now I just need to plug weld, plug weld, plug weld, plug weld. Yeah. Okay, got her all welded up and ground all the welds. It's looking really good. I'm really happy with it. Now I just need to flip it over and do some double checking on the bottom side of it, and then drill it for the 4-link cradle. Yay! Okay, I got it flipped over. I had a couple spots that I needed to weld where I previously had bolts. Welded those up, cleaned those up, and now I'm drilling the holes to mount the cradle. I'm not gonna go ahead and mount the cradle. I'm gonna wait until after I have it on the car, because it's just unnecessary weight for me to be moving around on this thing, and it's heavy enough. So I'm just gonna drill the holes. Use a 5/16 bit and drill out here. I think there's 5 on the inside of the frame rail on each side. I think you can see the holes over there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And yeah, we'll get that done up, and then we'll be done with the floor, I think. Okay, I finished up the floor, drilled the holes for the 4-link cradle, and stood it up over here out of the way. Now I can move on to other things. All in all, the floor turned out really good. I'm really happy with it. I can't wait to put this on there. So that'll probably be the next task. First, got to clean up in here. It's a mess.